If you've clicked on this video, you're probably a proud bearded dragon owner, or you're considering bringing one of these adorable scaly creatures into your home. Either way, congratulations on being part of the Beardy fan club. But just like any pet, your bearded dragon can get sick from time to time. And when you notice something's off, it can be a little worrisome. Is your dragon just having an off day, or is there something more serious going on? Don't panic. I'm here to break down the common signs that your bearded dragon might not be feeling their best, and more importantly, how to spot them early so you can give your scaly friend the care they deserve. And hey, we'll throw in a few jokes to make sure this isn't just another boring health lecture. We're talking dragons here, not doctors. Well, dragon doctors. So, let's get into it. Here's your ultimate guide to figuring out if your bearded dragon is sick and what you can do about it. 1. Changes in appetite or total lack of it. One of the first signs that your bearded dragon might be feeling under the weather is a sudden change in appetite. Normally, these little guys are food lovers. Think of them as tiny, scaly vacuum cleaners with a penchant for crickets, veggies, and the occasional worm snack. So, if your bearded dragon suddenly refuses food or looks uninterested in their meals, something could be up. So, it's normal. A healthy beardy will usually chow down on insects, greens, and fruits regularly. They may eat less during the colder months or when they're preparing to shed, but generally, they should still be nibbling on something. But what could it mean if they stop eating? Stress. Have you changed their habitat recently? Or maybe a new pet in the house is freaking them out. Bearded dragons don't like drastic changes, and stress can cause them to lose their appetite. Or it could be illnesses like parasites or gastrointestinal issues can make them feel unwell and cause a lack of interest in food. Or maybe it is egg-laying issues. Female beardies can stop eating if they are gravid carrying eggs and are feeling too stressed or uncomfortable. Here's what to do in those cases. Monitor their eating habits closely for a few days. If they're still refusing food after 48-72 hours, or if you notice other signs of illness, it's time for a trip to the vet. Pro tip: you can try offering them different types of food or even tempting them with a favorite treat, but if nothing works, seek professional advice. After all, a sick bearded dragon can't be healed by just offering them a salad. Trust me, I've tried. 2. Lethargy or unusual behavior. Has your bearded dragon suddenly become a couch potato? If they're staying in one spot for hours or days at a time, that's a red flag. Normally, bearded dragons are fairly active, climbing on rocks, basking under the heat lamp, or walking around their enclosure. A lethargic dragon might seem like they've suddenly turned into a sleepy dragon, but that's not something you should just brush off. So, what's normal? If your bearded dragon is going into brumation, a sort of natural reptilian hibernation, it's normal for them to be more sluggish and sleep for long periods. This usually happens in the colder months, and not every beardy does it. But what could it mean if they're lethargic? Illness. Respiratory infections or parasites can cause your dragon to feel sluggish. If they're not moving around and seem extra sleepy, that could be a sign they're not feeling well. Stress or environmental issues. If the temperature or humidity in their tank is off, they might retreat into a lethargic state as they try to conserve energy. Dehydration. A dehydrated bearded dragon will be much less active, and you may also notice their skin looking saggy or wrinkled. Here's what to do. Check their tank conditions. Make sure the temperature and humidity are within the ideal ranges for bearded dragons, between 95 degrees Fahrenheit for brown to hue and 95 degrees Fahrenheit for bearded fox, 70 for beast of prey, and 79 degrees Fahrenheit for the basking area, and 70 degrees Fahrenheit for the cooler side. If they've been inactive for more than a couple of days, it's time to contact a vet. Pro tip: if you want to make sure your bearded dragon isn't just bored, try adding some new toys or rearranging their setup. If they're still laying around like a lump, then it's time to investigate further. 3. Changes in the poop department. We all talk about poop here, right? It's an important sign when it comes to checking your dragon's health. Bearded dragons poop about once a day, and it should have a fairly solid texture, a light brown or greenish color, and sometimes a little white tip, which is urate, their form of excretion. How if normal? Solid, healthy-looking poop. with the usual white urate tip. And some occasional diarrhea after a change in diet or during shedding is not uncommon, but it should be short-lived. But what could it mean if their poop changes? If your dragon's poop is liquid or watery and doesn't have a solid form, this could point to an infection, parasites, or stress. But if your beardy is straining to poop or seems to be in pain, it could indicate a blockage, constipation, or impaction, which can be caused by eating inappropriate substrates like sand, or no poop for days. If they're not pooping at all, they may be constipated or impacted. Here's what to do. If your beardy's poop is consistently abnormal, consider adjusting their diet, making sure to offer fiber-rich veggies like collard greens or getting them checked by a vet. For constipation, try gently massaging their belly or offering a warm soak, but never force them to poop. It's not as fun as it sounds. 4. Breathing problems or wheezing. If your bearded dragon is making strange wheezing sounds, or if they're puffing out their beard and gaping their mouth while trying to breathe, something's definitely wrong. Respiratory infections are relatively common in reptiles, and they can be caused by factors like poor tank ventilation, high humidity, or a drop in temperature. So what's normal? Bearded dragons should not make wheezing, hissing, or labored breathing sounds. Also, they should breathe quietly and comfortably, unless they're running around, to catch that elusive cricket. So what could it mean if they're wheezing? Respiratory infections? This is a common problem for reptiles in humid or cold environments. They may also show signs like nasal discharge, swollen eyes, or an open mouth. Aspiration pneumonia. This can happen if your bearded dragon accidentally inhales food particles or water, which is dangerous and requires immediate veterinary attention. Here's what to do. If your dragon is showing signs of respiratory distress, such as labored breathing or wheezing, it's time to see a vet ASAP. Respiratory infections can be serious, so early treatment is key. 5. Changes in skin or shedding patterns. Bearded dragons shed their skin regularly, but when they're sick, their shedding patterns can get thrown off. Healthy dragons shed in patches, usually about once a month, but a sick dragon might have problems shedding their skin or may show signs of skin infections. So, what's normal? Regular shedding about once every month or so is normal, and their skin should come off in small patches without any issues. Occasionally, they might shed in one big chunk. Think of it like peeling off a sunburn minus the peeling skin attached to the rest of your body. But what could it mean if they have skin issues? Retain shed. If your dragon can't shed properly, you might see patches of skin stuck to their body, usually around their toes, tail, or eyes. This could mean the humidity in their tank is too low, or they're not getting enough hydration. Infections. If your beardy skin looks red, inflamed, or has sores, it could be a sign of an infection. It's also possible for bacteria to cause infections during the shedding process. Now here's what to do. Ensure your beardy's humidity levels are correct, and give them a soak to help with shedding. If you notice any signs of infection or severe retained shed, get them checked by a vet. They might need treatment to prevent further complications. 6. Behavioral signs of stress. Bearded dragons are sensitive creatures. A little bit of stress here and there isn't a huge issue, but constant stress can lead to illness. If your dragon seems more skittish than usual, has a loss of appetite, or is showing signs of aggression when they're usually calm, stress might be the cause. So, what's normal? Bearded dragons are generally calm, curious creatures, though they may feel more defensive during shedding or if they're in a new environment. They may be a little grumpy if you try to handle them too much, but that's just a part of their personality. So what can it mean if they're stressed? Environmental changes, moving to a new tank, a new pet in the house, or even loud noises can cause stress. If your beardy starts displaying signs of aggression or hiding constantly, check their environment and tank setup. They might be stressed about temperature, lighting, or space. Now here's what to do. Make sure their tank is quiet, comfortable, and in a safe, calm area of your home. And keep handling to a minimum if they seem stressed, and give them time to adjust to any changes. Keeping a bearded dragon healthy and happy requires attention to their habitat, diet, and overall well-being. If you notice any of the signs listed above, don't panic. many health issues can be managed with proper care and early intervention. Remember, bearded dragons are resilient little creatures, but they rely on us to keep them safe, healthy, and stress-free.